Thanks for staying with us. So we got a disturbing message from one of our fans who said, can you please bring up parents giving their kids between 9 and 10, like that can even reduce it from 8 to 12, having a mobile phones. According to her, it's tearing her marriage apart. And obviously, she and her spouse are having issues with deciding what's the appropriate age to give a child a mobile phone. Now, she didn't tell us which side she was on, if she was for the child having a phone or against the child. But this is a conversation many parents are going to face at some point or the other, or many have already faced. And would like to hear your thoughts on this conversation. So many feel that it's too early. I do have kids in my own neighborhood who I see have phones, and my kids who are also between that 8 and 10 are coming to ask me for a phone, and I'm like, nah, it's not time. So what are your thoughts on this? There's a part of it that says, listen, in the mobile world, things are happening. A child having a phone now or later doesn't really make any difference. It's how you train that child to accept that mobile phone that's the most important thing. Others are saying that there's time for everything. It doesn't have to be now. So what are your thoughts? Let's hear your views. You can call us on 081-270-53687, 091-390-7694. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect, #YourViewTVC. Send us messages on YouTube and Facebook. We'll be happy to hear your thoughts. Okay, who would like to go first? You, mobile phones, YK?
I would like to just say, if you're going to give your child a phone, I think it should be a pure water phone. So that they're not
online.
Social media, because social media is where they start to make all these kind of contacts that I think that they shouldn't be making. I know from experience, because for my brother's kids, 2 years ago or a year ago, I gave them for their birthdays phones, and they went social media. Hey, this one, Instagram, Twitter. By the time their father
came back,
collected the phones first, you are not even studying again, because all they were doing was phone.
So you bought the phone yourself?
I bought the phone.
Why did you think it was okay to buy the kids a phone?
I didn't think about it.
Okay.
And I will be very honest, I didn't think about it. In retrospect, it was a bad decision. So, and they were 13. So I personally do not think they should have more than... I mean, sometimes you need to give your child a phone. That's why I say a pure water phone. You are out all the time. You need to know what's happening to your child.
Yeah.
You need contact with your child. It's not the days where you have a phone in the house. We don't have phones in the house.
But some will argue that the reason why I give my child a phone is for educational purposes. So I need to give that internet so she can check YouTube Kids, watch videos, learning items. They're learning so many learning materials online that you like your kids to sing. They have all these nursery rhymes that they learn. So whether you like it or not, some parents feel compelled to put internet so that the children can get learning materials.
Not the place to go.
Yeah.
For a child.
Yeah. Dr. Your thoughts on this?
I believe that we're in this jet set age. We are in this age where everything is happening so fast. Children start having their period at like extremely young age. You see children maturing so fast, and I feel that a lot of parents are rushing things, we're rushing them into maturity, we're rushing them into being all grown up and glam. And we're not just letting children be children. Let them play, let them have fun, let them go outdoors. It's a problem worldwide, worse in developed countries, and we're bringing it here. You see this phone thing, people are addicted to it. Adults that did not use it when they were small started using it as full-grown adults in their 20s, getting addicted to it. Then you now give a child. It affects the ability of a child to have relationships with other people, because everything they need is here. So why do I talk to you? I don't need to talk to you. I'll just be on my phone. And then your kids are connecting with people in China, India, are their friends. They don't have friends in the physical realm to connect with. So I'm of the opinion that in the minimum, they are teenagers. So from like 13 and above would have, before you can get a phone, I even prefer moving to 15. But when we get to that bridge, we'll cross it. For me, 8 years, 9, 10, 11, 12, no. My reason is you can be online on your laptop. My kids have a laptop. They use it for coding. They use it for their assignments. You have a laptop. It's not the one that you carry a laptop and put under your bed. Because most of the time, what you hear is that children that have phones, they sleep with the phone. They wake up with the phone. It is not good mentally. Like, it has psychological damage that it causes to adults as well as children. So when it's not about, oh, I love my child. You know, I get this thing like, oh, I love my child. My child did so well in school, and so I promised my child I'll get her whatever she wants. I said she wanted an iPhone, so I just now bought it for her because you can afford it. No. You don't buy your child a car at 13 because you can afford it, because you know it will harm the child.
When it comes to Nima, some people will argue because, listen, just like you said, we're in that jetty age where everything is online. They're even in school. They're playing stuff for them, materials online. The school gets online and show them, and they give them assignments online. So as a parent, whether you like it or not, you have to put internet in your house. You have to put internet on the phones. You have to, at some point, give them this mobile phone to use. So because you're also doing business and you're doing work on your mobile phone, some will argue that, listen, I'd rather just buy your smartphone, use it for your assignments, and let it be. And then, of course, you are compelled to give the children the phone.
But you forget to be a parent. If your child has to do an assignment, why don't log it on and do it with them, search the word with them, give them the phone. When they're done, you take back your phone. You cannot give control away when you're a parent. It's not yet time. Until that child is an adult who can take responsibility or live with the consequences of any decision they make, you're still their parent and you can't lose control. Right now, I can't even remember the Wi-Fi at all because I asked my daughter to log in on my tab, and her tab, put the password on her tab to do an assignment. And since then, it's always on whatever. So I just changed the password, and me too don't forget passwords. Because you can't take away control. I'm dealing with TV addiction with my second child. I know how it is. I've talked to a child psychologist, and I've been made to see the mistake of, because I'm a working parent, I'm hardly available as much as I would love to. And so to console the child, we just kept putting him. Now we've taken that accent away that he grew up with. We're dealing with other things and other. I don't want to grow up and my child is totally distant from me. Yeah. I must be a parent, and I'm praying hard to cover the number of years that I think I've done wrong. So as a parent, you cannot. I see my cousin's children. In their house, TV is only on weekends. I say they are their best in school. They are their best in school. They know how to focus. My own, because we are not at home, the TV, I'm dealing with that already. I cannot add phone to that problem. I cannot. All
right, let me take this call from Ademola.
The psychological, because phone, psychologists have said, is the most addictive tool. Just the man looking in the lights has this connection with a person's mind. And we as adults are trying to cope with it. Imagine a child who doesn't even know what to do.
Let me take Ademola. Ademola, are you there?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, you're live. Go ahead, please.
My question is, I think a kid is led to have a phone, depending on the parents. We have the phones and they are having settings which we can privatize many things and put some privacy on some phones in which the kids cannot access some vital or matured information. Like our DSTV also, we know there's a parental controls on it in which they can control the use, and that will be only if the parents is around to monitor the child, because we have many kids now that they are upbrain with their intelligence. They have many things to do online, both education and even many things which they can't learn in our environment due to security issues. You can't leave your kids to play around. So I think this only means to encourage your kids, and that should be done in a moderate way. Okay. That's my own contribution.
Thank you very much, Ademola. So that's a good point. So that's the point many parents, or that's the argument many parents have. Like, listen, I need my children to actually learn. And you can put parental control, you can put other things to regulate, but in reality, it's difficult. Kids always find a way around this parental control.
Learn with their laptop. They can learn.
So you're saying laptop is more secure than a mobile phone?
Yes, you can learn with the laptop, you can learn with a tablet. I don't believe children should have phone. They should have access to social media. I don't think that the human brain...
access to
social media on the laptop.
No. You can't. What do you call it?
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. The children we are dealing with today, they are
years ahead.
Children.
I think I shared with you.
Generation Z children. Let me tell you.
Even the laptop, let me my own experience. Remember when I shared with you guys, I gave my daughter the laptop, right? And it was suggesting to her, she was trying to research, and it was suggesting all this adult content.
Yes.
She now opened it, and she saw, I had to sit down with her and explain to her what she just saw. We now broke it down, explained her, what do you think you just saw? And we discussed it together, because now I had to go through weeks of conditioning and reconditioning, because she had just seen what she shouldn't be seeing.
I was
so the point is that either social media, either phone, laptop, it's all the connection to it.
But you know that if you reduce exposure, my parents didn't have to sit with me a lot. I was not exposed. I tell people that I never, ever, when I say ever, ever saw anything X-rated until as I was a full-grown adult and I was in a bus and somebody was watching. And I said, put it away. I never saw it. I wasn't exposed to it. I couldn't have searched or stumbled my way into it.
But today they can.
Because you can.
Don't compare your age now to that. Wait, let me finish. To that of your children. Why I'm saying this is, you didn't grow up, even though social media had started or was starting, had not started the way, it had not become what it is today. That's one. Two, the kids today, you are not even a millennial. You are, what generation are you?
I don't know what it is.
You are old now. I'm older than millennial. Millennial, I think that one ends at 34. You are older than that. So now the ones after that, Generation Z, those ones, when you give them the phone or the laptop or the iPad, what they do, they will enter that app, hide it from you and whoever.
So you didn't get what I was trying to say.
Let me share an experience.
What I'm saying is, I didn't have that exposure, so there wasn't really the need to start counting. My parents could be absent and there won't be much damage because the exposure I had was limited to a very close circle. Now, we don't have that parental time to sit with the children, and then we are exposing them to things far beyond our own ability to even rationalize.
I'll come to you, Nima. I'm reading Obiajulu saying that the key thing is monitoring, but the truth is that no matter how much you think you can monitor, it's difficult to monitor. How many places can you be at the same time?
These are smart children.
Let me give you personal experience.
Sorry. My daughter came home with Roman numerals. Fortunately, the phone was to me like this when I searched for 30. And I just clicked the first suggestion. I was shocked at what I saw. In fact, I almost threw my phone away. And I kept saying to her, you have to find a way. Open textbook and find the answer. I was just, that was the reaction. If somebody had told me this our popular search engine would drop this as suggestion, shock for catch me, I won't believe it.
Let me go on a break. When we come back, we'll bring in Mr. Theo Akatugba. He can also shed some light on this. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So this topic we're talking about is quite loaded because there are so many angles. There's the angle of giving the child a phone, and there's the angle of the content we see on social media, which are two different things. Because the child, as I said, can use the phone as a learning material, but at the same time, we are also wary of all the content that this child could have access to. I think we have with us Mr. Theo Akatugba, who is also a parental coach. Good morning, sir. Are you there? Mr. Akatugba.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, you are. Thanks for staying with us. All right. So this issue, we have this concerned fan who sent us this message because it's tearing her family apart right now. Both herself and her spouse are indecisive over who or if their child should get a phone. Right? They're quarreling on this matter right now. So in your thoughts, what are the pros and cons of giving a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old a phone? Akatugba, are you there? Okay, we can't hear him right now because I think we're a bit frozen. So talk about you were going to say something earlier.
So I was going to talk about the fact that there are things you don't expose children to because you know that they don't have the capacity to handle it. We are having increased rates of teenage suicide. We are having a lot of children having to deal with cyberbullying. Children are trying to understand who they are, and they're having to compare. See, we were comparing ourselves with our neighbors. I was feeling like, I'm too tall, and this girl is too curvy. I'm not as curvy as she is. Now our children are comparing themselves with everybody around the world. My son is asking, why is my hair kinky? And their own hair is straight, and this one is blonde, and this one is brown. Blue eyes look finer. And we are having to constantly revalidates the fact that you are perfect the way you are, you're wonderful, God created you, this is your own spec. So having to expose children so early without enough psychological supervision, not many parents are informed enough to sit down and be supervising. We're not. So reducing exposure for me is number one. Then the ones that they don't get exposed to, you are around to check, because if they're exposed to 1 million things, you cannot undo 1 million. But if they're exposed to only 10, you can start working on your way to undo the 10. And then as they get older, they are able to properly, the ability to discern has increased than when they are younger.
So a message just came in and I come to you, Nima. This lady said that when we traveled for summer last year, my kids saw how their cousins all had phone in America, and they were exposed. So obviously her children went for summer holidays, and so children abroad at that age, some of them have phones. Some of their parents allow them to have phone, and I guess it's a norm around. Everybody has a phone. So their kids are now putting her under pressure to buy them a phone. And her husband was saying, go ahead and buy them a phone now. But that argument also, so I guess many homes have this issue where you see other kids abroad. Somehow, I don't know how they're able to manage it. If they're able to manage
They're
it.
not managing it.
So
they have
they are not
crisis.
managing it. Is it not these children that carry gun and go and keep you
And they are heavily medicated.
Yes.
The average person over there, the children are using different drugs to maintain their emotional state. Depression is very high over there. Those are the problems.
I say, where do you hear that child will go and collect gun here and come and start killing?
They will say they are
I better
depressed.
ask question. When I hear say cry keep pikin, go igbomo.
Cry, no,
Cry,
they
they
keep
keep pikin. If all your cousins have phone, can you not tell your child, you are different? I had this tough conversation with my daughter once. When we were coming to your house, my car broke down. She said, Mom, you just go and get your friend's car now. Let's be going. I said, auntie,
You told us, remember?
you need to learn certain things. And you must respect limits.
Build resilience.
She will come and say, my cousins are doing this. No, you are different. And you must be able to defend that difference. If it is Gary that is our staple in this house, defend Gary anywhere you go. Carry the flag. That's the home. I discovered my identity at about 16. By that 16, things for don't spoil. So children that have not discovered their identity, they don't know what to defend. They don't know what to hold dear. How can they endure things that they are confused about?
And how can the parents... Yeah, go ahead, Ricky.
My daughter is reading a book that, while she was here, she was telling me, and that it is the children are being trained by each other.
Hey, we're no longer parenting.
We are no longer parents. We are no longer the children's role model. It is their peer group.
Yes.
Because they spend so long with their peer group. Now, when they have phones, they are
Perpetually.
with their friends.
So the phone is training.
It is what their friend is training them to do that they do. So that's where we have to be very, very observant. Because...
Well, they will accuse you that, see, there's a global village. You know, you have to get, your children have to
Which
get...
village?
No, they keep telling that. Why can't we need to agree? Because when we have these conversations...
When you are living in the village, you go and sit down in another person's house. So you sit down inside your own house.
They'll
Then
tell
you all
you...
converge later in their evening or something and
They'll
discuss.
tell you that their counterparts abroad have phones. I'm just giving you the argument of women or parents who actually give their children phones, that their counterparts abroad have phones. This should want to expand their minds. The idea is to learn, because I can't continue to confine them to the four walls of this class what their teachers are teaching them. I need my child's mind to be exposed to know that you can use them. What's that one they use in America? They have this IELTS. My kids use it sometimes. So you want to expose your children, you have to use internet. So how, therefore, do you monitor and also expose your children to global best practices? You want your children to have more than what they...
What do we call global best practices? Because I know I watched a few interviews, and very successful Americans were talking about, even in Europe, they were talking about how they don't have a TV in their house, and how the fact that media is extremely controlling how children behave, what they say. I saw my children started watching a particular series, and it became a bit more rude, just because. And I said, when I watched the series, I understood. Okay, so everybody in this series, talk back to their parents. Yes. Everybody in this series feels their parents don't know it. They don't know it. They don't know nothing. They don't know nothing. And so he's coming and he's behaving like mommy too does not know anything. Mommy doesn't know anything. I'm like, okay. So it is because you watch this thing you're watching is making you feel like parents don't know anything. So they are being, the media is programming, and parents are unaware of the level of programming that is going on in your child's life. That is just watching cartoons, TVs. You're watching, as in I watched one series, and the person was saying that, oh, she's so happy now, she's in love. And then the next thing, she now held a lady and said, yeah, I found the one. And it's for children. You know, so like, And I saw my kid's face and I said, okay, you know, we discussed this thing like simple. He said, well, how can you be falling in love? That happens. You need to let your child know. But if you reduce the exposure,
what if you're not there? What if you're not there? Because let me go to what BC is saying. BC says monitoring doesn't mean they won't venture into it. It only gives you, the parents, an opportunity to catch it early and deal with it. Information you are hiding, they can hear and see it outside. It's best you detect it early and correct impressions. Okay, so she said that she agrees that you cannot be able to monitor everything, but if you are constantly monitoring, you may catch it early and be able to correct it.
Let me quickly say this. I am a parent who lives on 6. My husband lives 5. We are not available. I did not give my children a phone. This is what I did. I looked for a table phone where I can put my daughter's SIM. We put the SIM in the table phone. They cleverly, these 2 children run the thing. It's no longer working. Hey, that means you can't get a phone. Because the purpose of that phone is so that I can communicate with you. And if I'm not doing that, remove it. I put a CCTV. If I cannot do that, I remove that as well. You will remain with the old method of, hello, yalaulu, shetiro moyin, shoti dele, eshema. Hello, yabeji. That's what I will be doing. That has worked so far. Call your neighbors. Call somebody, any adult. Be friends with your community. Let people, the village that we are talking about, leave the village. Let people check on you can see. Let people check on your children.
Mr. Katugwa is back. I'll come to you, YK. Mr. Theo Katugwa, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, fantastic. We lost you earlier. So what are your thoughts on this? As I said, with a concerned viewer saying that this issue of giving her child a phone is tearing her family apart.
Okay, did you get the first part of my response?
Nothing, absolutely nothing. We didn't hear you at all.
No. Okay, the question you asked was the 9-10-year-old child. First of all, we live in a world where we tend to copy or want to emulate one another. It's even very difficult when you do not expose a child to all the avalanche of information. It's difficult training them within the confines of your home. And so when a child is demanding for a phone between 9 and 10, what you are doing is that child might not be matured enough to manage the volume of information that the child will be exposed to at that age when you give that child a mobile phone that is enabled to receive, that have internet connectivity. And if you want to give a child any phone at that age, to be able to reach that child, because maybe you are far away from the child, you are a child like a desktop phone or a phone that simply can receive the call, that would be enough for the sake of communication.
What of the sake of learning materials, exposure to different things? You see,
correct.
Many people say that. Yeah, go ahead.
That is the big one. This started with me in Ghana, who were told that the school needed a tab. And then my son was in SS2. That is a child, SS2. And we bought a tab. Many of the parents presented tabs to their children. And they said there was a device in it that could monitor the number of hours they spent learning. Do you know that majority of the children had access to pornography? There was a way they were able to crack that phone and they were able to pretend as if they were attending classes. The end result was mass failure in that school. So at the end of the day, it became counterproductive. The good intention was not achieved.
Interesting.
So the challenge of maturity.
Wait, sorry, do you know what I'm saying?
Bypassing.
My niece, she bypassed everything. And when you pick up her tab like this, it looks very innocent. It's only because Rolari came, and Rolari is a computer programmer, that Rolari just bang, 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 everything just came out. Everybody else was looking, oh, what is this again?
Instagram.
Magic.
That tablet is locked in my daughter's room. She came to me the other day and she needs to get some information. I said, go and call Brother Mohammed.
Somebody who knows.
When Mohammed comes, I will give it to Mohammed. You will sit down with him, access what you want to access while he's watching you, then you give it back to him, go and lock it up again. Because if you leave them, these children...
So I think that as parents, we need to understand that we're not meant to just please our children and do whatever they want or they like. We're meant to guide them until they are old enough and wise enough to make informed decisions by themselves. So I want to ask you, sir, if you're still there.
Is there?
How do we gauge this maturity? Because I feel that many of our children see us on social media. They see us posting, and because they want to do what mommy is doing, or they want to do what they think their friend is doing, they also want to get on social media. I'm really worried about their ability to cope with cyberbullying. We as parents, as adults, are still struggling with them insulting you every day online. How do we help children who are maturing so fast to be able to handle the information that they'll be receiving by being online? Because whether we like it or not, they still have to go online.
Okay. Good. The first thing is your general principle as a family. What is the thrust of your family? What are the artifacts of lessons, of messages, of teachings that you have taught the child from infancy till the time the child is 10 or 8 years, when the child can have conversation with you? When a child is having conversation with you, you'll be able to decipher from those conversations the level of the child's maturity, how the child decode information, and how the child encode information. So that from then you will what? Another one is the child able to keep an item and remember where that item is kept? When an item is being looked for in the house, is he able to say, it's here, it's kept there? Or is a careless one that even if you give her a phone today, in 2 days, the phone will be misplaced? Finally, how does the child respond to people when somebody comes to the family and makes a proposition that is contrary to the information you've given to the child? Does the child follow that person, or the child corrects the person? So you check the interactivity of the child with others. You deliberately put your child among others to give him a wrong proposition other than what you have given. If the child comes back that, Daddy, Mommy, do you hear that this person said this? Whereas this is what is supposed to be. Because information will come to you, and you have to be able to respond to that information from a standpoint. You can't, if you don't have anything to stand on, you can't reject a bad information or accept a good.
That will help you to gauge his maturity. Yes,
so I wanted to ask this question, because this is what I see most parents do. Once a video surfaced online where parents gifted their 4-year-old girl an iPhone 13, and the little girl was saying to her mom, this is an iPhone, this is an iPhone, this is not my gift. It's too much. 4-year-old girl in that video, and the parents thought that was a gift. So how do you, does parents who have experienced lack in their lives, do they exactly make up for that in gifting their children all the luxuries of the world? Does it make their children never go through it? Because some parents will say, no, I don't suffer, my pikin no go suffer. And so they'll make up for everything that they didn't have as a child in their children.
If you can afford it, should you give your child expensive gifts?
You can afford. You didn't have a phone, so your child must have one.
That is poor parenting. You don't poison the child because you thought that, because at every stage of a child's life, you are there to protect the child. A lot of people that have studied over the years, some children are given all these gifts as a replacement of the parents' presence.
Exactly.
And when they do this, sometimes the parents are away, they are not always available. And so they just give them whatever they want to pacify them or show to them that they love them. But you will be hurting your child by presenting to the child a poison or an item that can injure the child's human development. A lot of children today have only been exposed to what they are not matured enough to handle. And the end result is what we see today. Someone is looking mature, but the person appears mature. But the reality of the matter is the person is a scattered person internally. Because all the information that the person is dealing with, she doesn't have the capacity to manage them, and she doesn't have an adult.
Mr. Kato, sometimes it's easy to say it when we live in this kind of society where our moral standing is still, somewhat decent. When you live in a different country, for example, so the Nigerians living abroad right now, they are struggling with this issue because in their community, the average 10-year-old has a phone. They're in school, they carry their mobile phones, they're online. So your Nigerian child is here putting you under pressure that I need a phone. And they live in a society where it's normal, it's a normal thing. So how does a Nigerian parent who lives outside the country manage that conversation with their child abroad? Can they still give the child the phone?
No, that's what I said. They must be firm on their family values and repeat to that child, you are not the other child, and let them know the dangers, the ills, and the danger they might face if the phone is given to them too early. And they must give them active examples I face the same challenge. My son comes from school and tell me straight and pointedly that there are people of his age that has a phone. And I said, yes, because I love you and I want the best for you. At a certain age of this, I will give you a phone, but not until then, because there are too many information that you might not be able to manage. That's why you see all the dangers we see. I gave them example of bullying, those who misbehave, homosexuality. I say all these are part of the dangers in the phone. I don't want you to see it. Even if you see it privately through your friend, I shouldn't be the one that will give you such an access, whereas I'm trying to stop you from doing that. So the child is managing the situation with me, but I must be active in dissuading the child from that course. That's our job as parents.
Right.
I just wanted to say, for Christmas, I gave my nieces and nephews, we gave them pure water phones. Will you believe that they have not touched those phones?
Yeah.
They have not touched those phones. So they are there inside the packet. They are not interested.
They are not interested. For me, I went into the university in a time when I didn't have a phone. I had clear difference between when I got a phone in my result and when I did not have a phone. Like, it was different. And there wasn't social, it wasn't social, it was just the fact that they could text me. So semester we did not have phone, we passed. Semester we had phone, carry over. The ability, it took my parents to pull my ears that, oh, because you now have a phone, you are getting distracted from class, you are having your result like this. Some people, children are children. They don't understand that responsibility. We spoke about recipe for time management. They don't have that ability to say, this is the time for me to do this. Let me segment. So there is abuse, there is misuse, and as parents, we shouldn't aid their inability to manage themselves. We should encourage them and put in that discipline. You can't raise your children based on what everybody else is doing. You must raise your children based on your own value. And that means parents must know their own values. You must identify what is core to you. What are your core values, so that you cannot tell children that this is not who you are. We are a loving family. We are a growth-focused family.
Right. Mr. Katuba, I want to quickly ask, because I believe that there's a blessing in disguise in denying a child even things you can afford. You teach that child resilience. When we're growing up, we had our own. No. In my house, you have to have a 2 weeks notice, minimum, to attend a party. Till today, no parties do or die for me, because my parents will never approve a party that is short time. And I grew up like that. If I want to go, I go. If I don't want to go, I don't. And I left, everyone will not fall. But I saw how desperately some of my friends, when we were in secondary school, would sneak, put clothes in their bag. It just didn't work for me, because in my house, there were rules. Is there no, even in the midst of the example Morel gave abroad, where every child has this thing?
Not every child. Some children don't.
I'm just saying, I'm saying where every child has it. Let's say in their school, every child already has it. That your child does not have it. Are you not teaching your child one lesson to deal with life? Or is there no lesson at all that you can teach your child?
Of course, you have said it all. What is parenting? And all children are not the same. All children are sent into the world to achieve various purposes. And parents are assigned to them in order to guide them onto those purposes. Whether we like it or not, we have the story of Michael Jackson, who was brought from a family of many, and he said his father was particularly hard on him. In life, you must parent your children according to a divine order. God has inspired you. You will know that out of all my children, this one is different, this one is different. The same way you must deal with your children in relation to the general public. Depriving your children of what will harm them is parenting at its best, at its prime, at its best order. You don't give them because you can afford. It's like this. You can afford to buy a car. Therefore, you buy a car and give it to your 12-year-old to drive. And then the child kills himself with the car. Have you done him any good? There are people who have bought cars for their children, and that same car led to their death because it was presented to them at a time too early for them to manage the excitement that comes with owning a car. So parenting is not, we are not parenting in collaboration. We are parenting our children to achieve the purpose for which they are brought. And your minimum role is to guide them from danger by not giving them what is not appropriate for them at different stages of their lives.
Thank you. The example of a car. The person I was with in America has like an 17-year-old boy. and I know that you can actually drive. I think it was
You get a learner's
yes,
permit.
you can get a learner's permit. And the man had cars at home. And I said, why is your son not driving? Why are you taking this old boy for basketball? It was a sacrifice for him to always take him for practice. And he said 3 of his friends that got a car for their birthday, 3 of them ended up in the hospital. See, because all of them, they are so excited about the new car, they race and they have accidents. 3. So he was depriving his child because he was trying to put that control in place that you cannot, your friends do it, and even with all the advice, they overspeed, get involved, they have a crash, and they are in the hospital. I don't want to lose you like that. So sometimes we must implement that discipline for the sake of the child.
It's just like asking, will you give a child a gun?
Because you love the child.
Because you love the child. They say the phone is the gun of the
mind,
of the brain.
Billy Kiss Maffe says, my older 2 are teenagers. I don't have control over their devices. What I do, and I've always done, was to admonish them with the hope that the training I have given them, still giving them, would guide them. My oldest is 18. Parenting in this age is tough. Billy Kiss, for the first time, I don't agree. Urema Gold says, I'm not getting a child a smartphone till she's of age to work and earn it. None of my children is getting anything they didn't work hard for. That's my own principle. Thank you.
So there's somebody that, I was talking to somebody, I know a few people whose children have phones. I know my kids are friends with them, and they come to me, Mommy, I want a phone, and I just tell them, point blank, you're not getting a phone just yet. And the reason, one of my own reasons why I choose not to give a child a phone is because, yes, as you said, the initial justification for being a learning tool will be valid, but the problem is that kids will continue to explore. After they use it for learning, they've done this IELTS, they've they've done everything else. After a while, they'll start to, what else is on this phone? Because Mom is using it, Dad is using it, every other person is using it. So they explore more. And you that maybe monitor for the first 6 months, maybe 1 year, thinking, oh, my kids are fine. By year 2, you already assume they're responsible, but no, they're not. They are now getting smarter. And they start looking for other things that you, by that time, you've already lost sight of their accessibility.
They say you don't use, most of us don't use 1/10 of what our phones can do.
Yes.
Because most of us we just use it to do
the basics.
For the basics. The remaining
90%.
They will go inside. They will bring it out. They will do things. Because sometimes I just touch something on my phone, something will just come out at me. I'll say, hey, what is this one? What's that?
In my house, the rule is, because during school days, we don't watch TV. The only channel you're allowed to watch in my house is Yoruba channel, because I want my kids to understand. In fact, Gabriel understands Yoruba. I'm talking to somebody in Yoruba, and he's replying the best because he understands what I'm saying. So it's exciting. The only channel in the house during the week is Yoruba channel. Weekends, I can allow you to watch your cartoons, but you don't watch TV. You can't come into the house during the week. It's not allowed. These are certain rules that you must have.
So it's important to have rules. You created Yoruba channel because you wanted them to understand Yoruba. Somebody else might do something else for works for them. It's important for you to understand what your goals are for your family, and then you now direct all the energy towards achieving that goal. For someone, it will be, you can learn how to do housework or other things within the house, but we must channel the children's energy. Our children have so much capacity.
So I must add this addendum to this Yoruba channel thing. Right now, they're doing a lot of kissing and drinking and bad behavior. Yoruba channel used to be very clean, culture, you learn greeting. But now, I don't understand what's going on. When I'm watching Yoruba, I'm like, what is this again now? I'm constantly looking for a more...
movies before. Sorry, Nima, Nigerian movies before, they would never kiss on the lips.
Yes.
Now they will kiss, they will hold their
everything. So I'm constantly there with them with the Yoruba thing.
We need monitoring.
These part parents. So I got a laptop, small one. This one that is like an analog that cannot even do, only for coding. Only to come back home one day. Madam was watching YouTube on browser. Mommy, no, it's just, how did you do? She searched it. It came out. She searched for the content she wanted. She started watching cartoons on. Let us watch Moana. Auntie? And that's that one I'm dealing with. How many do I know? Me that is the mother. Imagine that day I searched for that number for her. She just said, Mommy, what's this? Is it not this one? Is it not this one? So, okay, let me search. I just put in a Roman numeral.
And the first thing you saw.
In fact, the suggestion, and he not give me one. I kept scrolling down to see whether at the bottom I will see what I'm looking for.
Adults.
Till I finished scrolling, I didn't see what I was looking for. If it was my child, I said, take the phone.
Search yourself.
What you would have seen would have been shocking. So as parents also, we need to become, we're not living in jet age. You cannot afford to say, like, YK, I'm a dinosaur. No, you must understand how to protect.
You're not living, YK, you're not a dinosaur. You must
understand this thing.
So
my phone, my search engine, I have removed. It cannot suggest any adult content in any form.
I did
so
that.
Which child is using my phone? No child is using my phone.
No, as you know, you be so
we need to just do all these things in our little ways to ensure, and then you too don't look at adult content on your phone, because when you look at it, the children can just pick it and continue from where you are. Now, even Instagram, do you know what happens on this? Before you scroll 2 minutes on Instagram, you have seen somebody naked, like almost naked.
Now. That's a different topic for a different day.
Content,
our responsibility, content on social media, we have to talk about that.
So yesterday at the hospital, because at the pediatric stand, all of us have to queue and wait for our number. All the parents who had crying babies were offering their phone. They were giving them their phone, opening Baby Shark from Baby Shark. One particular small child, toddler, if the mother open, we will do the phone like this. That's not what I want. That's not what I want.
So when we no, that one I don't agree with you. The truth is that we all give our kids phones. I give my child the phone.
I'm just admitting it.
So we all do it. You take Baby Shark, it's a tease. I will give you Baby Shark. Please,
but we must find alternative.
How are we doing with
my son kept asking for my phone. I just didn't want to do it, and I survived it.
What I'm saying is that
survive it. So let me tell you something.
I have to wrap up with Mr. Katuba, yeah.
Okay, my son has this addiction to fast cars. So we bought him a group of toy cars, and he kept losing them. So we seized everything. I just noticed that for the past 4 months, he has not used the car, and he did not die. And before he would come up, Mommy, all my friends have cars. When I said no, now he has stuck to that no.
They get my phone for 2 hours. We agree. We're on Saturday, because everybody chooses their own. Michael goes for his own laptop. Everybody, the one that doesn't have laptop will take my phone. 2 hours. After 2 hours, you're done. You bring it back, and I know what you're checking. So where is the system that works for you? Let me let Mr. Katuba wrap up. Mr. Katuba, as we wrap up this conversation, what's your final advice to parents, especially those who are fighting? There's a marriage right now fighting on this matter, husband and wife. So help me advise them. What do they do? How do they go about it?
My final advice to parents who are fighting is that they should stop fighting and come to a congress of opinion and make sure that a child is protected from the dangers that are around, the information dangers and all the things that are available for children on the phone. If you must give your children phone, give them phone with which you can communicate with them. And then let us not be carried away by the way the world is going, because we have a responsibility to our children not to make the world better than it is. Our job is to protect our children, to give them the phone just close to the time they'll be going to the university, and manage the information, have 1 year with them on the phone before they get into the university from 16 years. When teach them that if you Google that, how do you kill yourself, tell them that they will find a way, but their job is to know that killing is bad. The point is, anything you find on the internet, you'll find opinions, but you have to select what is true. And if you don't teach your child what is true, the child will accept the information on the internet as true.
Thank you very much, Mr. Katuba.
Trained by Google.
I have to. We'll bring you back, Mr. Katuba, because somebody just sent me a message which I think is really crucial. Somebody said that his son or her son just got addicted to pornography, and it's for using the laptop, not even a phone. So we'll bring you back and make it the topic of another day. Children, teenagers.
You should take this child to see a therapist. There are therapists that would help deal with the addiction.
But dealing with it is one thing. But how do you help a child manage? Because they will see it. Pornography is there. At some point, your child will type something, the search engine will bring up suggest something adult. The child will see it. So what do you do to help a teenager, even a little child, you can still, it's impressionable, a teenager whose mind is a bit formed already? How do you, so Mr. Katuba, we'll bring you back on that, but thank you very much for joining us this morning. We appreciate your thoughts.
My daughter will never allow her children to watch YouTube. Because
there's YouTube Kids, though. There's YouTube Kids.
But you see, the YouTube Kids, what comes out, there are adverts that come out.
True.
That have adult content.
True. Very correct.
She says it doesn't, it stops them from concentrating on one thing because they can keep scrolling. Okay, I don't like this one. I like this one. So they have the short attention span.
Yes.
So it is either the other one that you all subscribe to or nothing.
Okay,
because me, I didn't know. I used to let them watch.
Yeah, that's a good point too. I didn't even think about that. So YouTube Kids constantly suggest, doesn't make you focus on one thing. You're constantly looking for something else. That's a very, very good point. Okay, final words, guys. I have to run.
No,
Lima.
I've said it too. Cry no they keep picking. Cry no they keep picking. You know if you cry blood. Let them learn self-restraint, resilience, and a lot of other values from, you know, denying them certain things, you know, are dangerous to them. And find only what is beneficial. Only something that will be beneficial in short and long term for your child should be given to that
But why kid who gave a child a gift? Now you've taken the gift away because you realize that the child was misusing it. But isn't that even more hard? Isn't that harder? Because now the child now will continuously think of what to do to get that. You know how she came to you recently.
When they grow
in the list, she has taught that child there's danger somewhere.
Yes.
In the list.
When they grow up, they will know how to handle it.
Okay, talk your final words after.
My final words would be that the parents should know better. Don't allow society pressure you into how you should raise your child. You raise your child to be a solution to the problems in the society.
Okay, YK, any final thought?
No, we should stop copying the Western world and face our own way. Because we will face that way now, we fall into gutter. Please follow your own way.
Yeah. So I think for me, I think I will just say the same thing. Have your own rules. You know, everybody's house is different. And if you indeed choose to give your child the phone, it's your prerogative, but ensure that you do proper monitoring. You're constantly watching, you have all the parental guidance control, ensure that you know what they're watching per time. And then at least you've done the best you can do.
I mean, like Nigerian movies that we didn't used to kiss before. Now suddenly we are kissing because it's a kissing inside movie.
In fact, I'm so disappointed in Yoruba. What is this? That's all we can take on the show. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.